Tell me about your routine, and we're going to get into the business here in a second, but tell me about like the daily routine. I'm always interested in routines, and I've seen yours change quite a bit lately. You're posting more about that. Tell me some of the changes that you've made, like maybe in the business that you just mentioned that have changed your life, but also like maybe physical changes and other routines that you have.
Yeah, yeah. So, I would say I'm going to cover the most recent routine in just a moment. Well, that's the most recent kind of test that I've done. So, normally, I've become making sure that I'm physically active, right? I got to make sure I take care of myself. So, I'm at least hitting the gym, generally speaking, 3 to 5 times a week. I have to because of the way my work style is. I'm like, there's no way if it's at the end of the day, it's going to happen. So I push myself to get to the gym at like 5:30 in the morning. I try to do, usually I'm trying to do like 2 days during the week. And then I always knock out the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. If I have the time, I also do Friday. So that's when I'm going to hit like 5 workouts in during the week. I've also just started to like take on some healthier eating habits. The funny thing is, like, one of my close friends that was out here, he's working with like a bodybuilding coach, but he's not even a bodybuilder, but he's like doing like the whole diet plan. So while he was here, I was like, you know what? I'll eat the same thing. And so we had like Middle Eastern chicken and rice. I was like, this is not that bad. I enjoy this kind of stuff, especially with some tzatziki, some like spicy harissa sauce. He had like this, what was the other one that I made a post about this by calling it prison food because it was oatmeal. It looks like prison food but it's oatmeal with protein powder and some peanut butter. I'm like, it's actually delicious. So I've been taking on like much more of like just like eating healthy like that. And so the other thing that's happened, this is the most recent thing now. So overall, now I'm moving in much more in the direction of like, I got to be very, very optimized and healthy because I'm now 39 years old. Um, I have, I have one main business right now, and then I have two startup businesses. One of them, they're both going well, but start like beginning phases take a lot of time and energy. So I am working more than I've ever worked before. So I've had to figure out how do I be as efficient as possible. I'm working as more than I've ever worked before. Then I'm traveling more than I've traveled before. I'm like, how do I fit all of this stuff in without having the system break down? And the funny thing is, too, is that some of the things that had gotten in my head about this is that I have two close, one of them is my business partner, and he's like 41, and he at one point has had he had some weird like heart issues. I forget exactly what had happened, but it threw him off, and it was actually after he sold his business. My other friend sold his business, and the other thing that all like his whole nervous system got like screwed up, which is funny, like because we were talking like, hey, because I'm on TRT, and we were saying like, you should probably get on TRT. You're 38 years old,
Hmm.
and he's like, I can't right now. He's like, he said, and what he like his whole like nervous system, hormones, everything was kind of screwed up. He's like, I think when I look back at, because he's done so much different stuff, was that he believes it was he was under so much stress while running the business that when he sold the business, he didn't have the stress anymore. It's almost like that stress kept everything in place, and then when it's let go, it's like a whole mess happened. So he's been trying to deal with it, and so I was like, it's like I've been thinking about all this stuff, and so I lived in LA, and I had a TRT doctor, and so I was like, all right, well, now when I moved to Vegas, I need to find a new doctor. Now, fortunately, I actually have a friend. I have a friend in Miami who's a doctor, and he just started doing telemedicine. So he's like a legit doctor. He's not like some guy that's going to start doing it. Like he's been like studied all the hormone stuff. He's like, yeah, I can do it remote. And I'm like, awesome. I'd rather do this with somebody that I actually know
Right.
than somebody that I don't know. And it's funny because when I talk to him, he's like, you should, when we started going through my stuff, he's like, you should sue your previous TRT doctor. He's like, because usually, I mean, it's the truth. So like a lot of these guys, like they just want to sell the prescription, right? And
Totally.
they don't do things checked out properly. But knowing him as a friend, I'm like, all right, you know what? Unfortunately I really haven't been to the doctor much in the past like 10 years or so. And hearing some of my friends' situations that are similar to me as entrepreneurs, knowing that heart attacks run in my family. My dad's had his two heart attacks first at age 50. Both my parents are diabetic. I'm like, I want to make sure that I'm avoiding as many of these things as possible and being proactive about all of that kind of stuff. So kind of just laid out everything about myself, every kind of like supplement, everything that I take, how often I drink, like every little recreational detail I possibly can give him around my lifestyle. So I'm comfortably be transparent with him. And he's like, all right. And so the one thing that I did point out was, it's odd being on TRT is that I still find that my energy levels are not as good. Or I just find that I yawn like every single day. I'm like, I'm drinking coffee and I'm yawning. I'm like, what is going on here? This makes no sense. And it'll be nights where I'll like check the sleep score. I'm like, I had a good sleep score. I got a good night's sleep. What's going on? And we pretty much established, he's like, dude, you've kind of just always been doing something to your body to get it to do what you want it to do. You're either having a lot of caffeine to get yourself the energy that you want, and then you're taking stuff to knock yourself out. And you're just constantly doing this cycle and maybe trying different things out. And you never let your body just completely like kind of operate on its own. So right now I'm on a complete detox where I'm doing no caffeine, no melatonin, no CBD, no supplements whatsoever that can alter my state, my mood, or anything like that. I also can't even like do like, he's like, no high intensity training. If you're gonna go work out, he's like kind of prescribed it. He's like, you got to do like low intensity training. It's like, if you're gonna think about, if you're doing cardio, if you can't carry on a conversation, you're working too hard. Because he's like, I don't want you to do anything that's gonna create a stress response and any kind of cortisol response or anything like that. So I think either on like day like 9 or 10 now, and I'm feeling better. And maybe I mentioned it's like, got to make sure you get like around like 8 hours of sleep, which I was kind of always like 6 hours ish, because I was trying to like work as much as possible. So it's been interesting. I'm feeling a lot better. It's one of those things where you don't recognize what you don't know until you're in the other position. Like, meaning I'll be working and I realize I was like, oh wow, like I feel more calm. And I didn't realize much how anxious my body was and my energy was. I'll be more clear-minded. I was like, oh man, I didn't realize that I had brain fog. So now it's just got me on this like health optimization kick. He had me take a whole bunch of blood tests that we're going to be reviewing on Monday or Tuesday. It's like, a lot of like the like heart stuffs, like your cholesterol and like hormone levels, blood levels, white blood cell, but also a whole bunch of different like vitamin levels and stuff like that. And so I'm just going to continue to take all the necessary steps to like just continue to optimize like every area. I'm like, okay, if this is too low, this is too high, what do I need to supplement, or what do I need to do naturally with my diet to get in the right place? Because I'm not on that medication game. I don't want to go down that path.
Yeah. I think that's a huge wake up call for me and for a lot of people, right? Is like you, I've been just, in the fitness industry, right? Like energy drinks are so available. They're in our coolers, right? And the first time I stepped in, everybody had them on their desk and I was just rocking maybe 4 or 5 a day. Then going out on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, alcohol downers, right? And then to get to sleep would take medication to sleep during the week. And so, yeah, I was forcing my body, and I, by the way, still do. So what you're saying all scares the living crap out of me. So let me know how it goes. I might be joining you on this journey. I might kind of pick your brain as to who your doctor is and see if I need to detox. But yeah, right now I'm in that state where if I don't take something to get up or down, I don't know how I'd function. I'm curious though, how are you sleeping now that you're not doing the caffeine or even the stuff to help you sleep? Are you sleeping? Or that was my biggest fear, is not being able to sleep at all.
So I was taking these CBD gummies that I forget how many milligrams of CBD, but each gummy had like 5 milligrams of melatonin, which is a good dose. And I was taking three of these a night. So 15 milligrams of melatonin is quite a bit, right? But I used to justify because I'm like, I knock out cold, right?
Yep.
And I would make sure I'd always fall asleep. So the fortunate thing is that rolling into this, when I first started it, I actually, ironically, had just had food poisoning coming back from Mexico. 3 a.m. tacos, street tacos.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
Big freaking mistake, right?
Yeah.
So because I had food poisoning, I couldn't have coffee, so I couldn't have caffeine. So when I considered day 1 of the detox, I actually was already on like day 3 of not having caffeine. And my body needed rest. So I was already kind of like, I was like, all right, let me just try to avoid the gummies. And the one night before I started the detox, I was like, I need to sleep. I'm just going to do 1 gummy. So I kind of like went down on it. But generally speaking, what I find is last night I had trouble sleeping, but I had work on my head. So I got to make sure the mind is clear. And the truth is, it doesn't matter if I'm on CBD or melatonin or whatever, NyQuil. If my mind is working on something, I'm not going to fall asleep. It just overpowers whatever the heck is going on.
Right.
So I got to make sure the mind is clear, that I'm not thinking about something. Usually I'll just put on some stupid podcast, like where they're talking about crap.
Yeah.
I'll just put on something where I know I don't need to pay attention. I'm like, it's kind of entertaining, and I'll just fall asleep to it. Or I just do nothing at all. I just chat with my wife and hang out, play with the dog, and just kind of like fall asleep in bed. So I am generally falling asleep, but I still find that like maybe the first hour or 2 hours is not, I don't want to say not the best sleep, but it's more tossing, turning. Like I find myself waking up and then changing positions. But then I find like, probably hour 3 to 7 or 8, it actually ends up being like knockout hard sleep, like where I wake up in the morning, I actually like feel like refreshed. But I also like, I know during that time, like I've slept well, and I use an Aura ring. So check the sleep scores. I'm like, how am I doing with the REM sleep? How am I doing with the deep sleep? And it's all been really, really good. So yeah, generally speaking, like those scores are always like 80, like 90. So I was actually surprised how how well I was able to sleep naturally. It's just, again, like, it's the falling asleep piece. But I think if you start really, because I'm trying to go the natural optimization route, like if you start paying attention to the small things that do affect it, like, blue light, making sure that you're not on a device about an hour before, calming your mind, even like sleep hygiene, taking a shower before bed, like all of those things will like start to help. So I'm like becoming more disciplined about like making sure you have the alarm for like when you need to go to bed rather than the alarm to like when you need to wake up. And like all of those things have been starting to like help move me in the right direction. So I feel good. I honestly think that once I'm done with the detox, I don't plan on changing too much, but I mean, look, I'm going to go back to my regular workouts. It's actually been the hardest thing,
Mm.
is going to the regular workouts, because I like to hop around at the group fitness gyms, F45, Burn Boot Camp. But right now I'm like, I got to go to EOS, and I'm like, I don't like doing the workout on my own. Like,
Totally.
that's why I started doing the group fitness stuff, because I did that stuff for 20 years and I got bored of it. So that's actually been, and it's been an easier routine for me. I'm like, I'm in and out in 45 minutes. Like, so I like doing all that kind of stuff. So that's been the hardest part. But yeah, my plan is to try to stick with all this stuff. That way, when I do need it, when I need the caffeine or when I need the gummy because I need to knock out, I'm like, it's going to just knock me out hard or amp me up. So that's what I say right now. Let's hope I stick with it.
Yeah. That's what's crazy is, I don't know about you, but I can probably think back to maybe my first time when I was like maybe like 20 or 21. I had my first sip of caffeine. I don't think I've taken a day off of drinking caffeine since then, and that's probably about what, 20 years. Is the same
Yeah.
for you, or no?
I can't think of a day where I didn't. I did certain things that were like probably smart. Like I always read like, oh, don't have a cup of coffee as soon as you wake up. Wait like an hour and a half, because your cortisol spikes.
Yeah.
So I was pretty good with that, because then like I'd have days where as soon as I wake up, I go to the gym. So I actually work out, and the workout kind of gives me energy. So, but I still found, like, I think over like the past like year or two, I was definitely having something every single day. Maybe I didn't. Coffee just became routine, right? Like that's just, it doesn't
Yeah.
even matter what you're doing. I just got to have a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Maybe on the weekends, I wouldn't do it nearly as much, because I might, like, instead of the workout being at 5:30 a.m., it's at like 8:30 a.m. I've slept a bit more. Like, let me go to the gym. Like, I don't need the pre-workout. I'll try to avoid it. But that's still probably, my wife is very like ritualistic with coffee, like always wants to have it. So I'm like, all right, I'll sit down and have a cup of coffee together. So now I'm replacing it with tea, some herbal stuff.
All right. Well, I'm gonna need a recording when you have your first sip of coffee again. I'm gonna need like the taste touching your lips and how wired you get off of one cup. I think that'll be interesting to watch.